Sip of my cup. Let's talk about cars. Everybody's talking about production, 20 million cars in 2030. Is this possible? Do people have enough money in the future? Yeah, there's also a big question. You see the loans are going to, the credit loans are going to 20% in America. Interest rates goes to 6, now 5%, maybe higher. So the average car is now around $700 a month. So it's getting more difficult. Electric cars getting more cheaper. I think somebody calculated you can get a monthly payment of maybe $400, $450 a month for electric car for Tesla, cheap Tesla, and a Corolla is even $700. So it looks like with the initiatives for electric cars getting cheaper and cheaper. But if nobody gets money, has money because the money tightening of the Fed and American policy, the car business will collapse. Collapse. We will not expect that Tesla will collapse because of car business, but it will be there will be an effect, of course, of the whole business go down. But for example, if Ford, General Motors will come into problems and need to have support, and they cannot sell cars cheaply, and they need some government intervention or help. And Tesla is just doing their business as always. Still, demand is big, and they can make their cars cheaper and cheaper. This misalignment will be very strange, and this was maybe the first time we will see this. Like look in the old days when we had the phones. If somebody gets with a phone, even normally it is more expensive. The iPhone was more expensive than the normal phones, but people still switched. But what if the innovation is cheaper? This is something. What if the iPhone was half the price, or say 70% of the price of the Nokia at that time, or the other Sony's, or the other Blackberries? What was used? That would be devastating for those companies. So this is something you can not compare with the telephone things, because with the telephones, the new phones were more expensive than the existing lineup. But still, people wanted to have this new innovation, and that's why they wanted this new phone, even if it was more expensive. But now we will come in a situation where the new innovation will be cheaper than the old, and this will totally make a collapse of the old business. And so this will be this effect of collapsing of the car industry, the old car industry. Will it have an effect on the new car industry, like the EVs? I think it will have for analysts and all those people that are looking into the numbers and all this, looking at sector for sector for investment. They will think, okay, cars is not good because everything goes down, but still people will buy cars, of course, and they will buy now Tesla cars or other cars. So there will be an awakening. There will be an awakening of the analysts and people that are in the are coping with this industry, the car industry. That they say, wait a minute, everything goes down, but Tesla is eating up all the customers of this. So Tesla becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. So what we will see is now we see a growth path of say 15, 20% a year from Tesla. Or maybe I just take a number out of the sky. But if the car industry will collapse and will diminish like every year with 20, 30, maybe 40%, these people will switch over if there is a similar car that Tesla can make for the pickup and the van and other cars, the smaller cars. If they can supply those cars, it will mean that there will be an increasement of the demand for Tesla cars. So what can happen is that now they think, okay, 20% more, and then until 2030 we will have 20 million cars. But if in now and, for example, this year, or end of this year, some of the car industry comes in so much trouble that they cannot produce cars anymore, or they cannot compete with Tesla, and Tesla get that market, this means that Tesla has to build very quickly new gigafactories, because he has to make those cars that are now that are not sold. So everybody wants to get these Teslas, so that can mean two things. Means that Tesla's getting more expensive, because everybody wants them. He doesn't have enough. So it is a normal economical rule. You have a product that everybody wants, but you have not enough, so you increase the price. So that will mean that the profit per car will go crazy. It's now 20% or 22%. Maybe it will be 50%. And I hope what he will do with his money, build more. That's also an economic rule. If you can, you increase the price and you sell more, you have to make more. So the famous example is, if you have a lemonade, you sell 100 lemonades in the spring, but it gets summer. You can ask for 200. You can ask for $2 per lemonade instead of $1. But you also want to make 200 lemonades, 2 times more. So at the end, you earn $400 instead of the $100. So one times 100 or 2 times 200. So this is the rule of supply and demand. So if this is the case, this will mean that the profitability of a Tesla will go up to from 20% to 30 or maybe higher, and they will produce twice or 3 times more. So, so the amount of money will go crazy. If they can survive this, if they can make the cars fast enough, they can build the factories fast enough, they will eat up all the demand of the people that cannot create the cars for the price and for the electricity instead of fuel. So, and they will have support of governments because it is not polluting. So it will go crazy in that business, and it can go faster than even Elon Musk will think. But also we have to think, of course, this is just a car idea, but we also have to think about what happens to electricity. Yeah, if that means that we will see in the next next half year or year that people will use more electricity for their cars. It means it will be an enormous how you call it effect on the electricity companies, and they will need to invest in batteries. So Elon Musk will go crazy with building more cars and more cars, and he needs more batteries and more batteries, and then he gets pulled by the electricity companies that they need more batteries to cope with more electric cars that he is selling. So he will increase the amount of more cars he will create. Will at the end will increase the demand of quicker plants, or these battery backups for energy power plants. So for the grid. So he will, by pushing his product more aggressively on the market, he will get more demand for batteries, and it means that he needs to even create more batteries as now. And it can lead. What can this lead? It can lead to an under expected growth that they are thinking. This can be like exponential. This can be like he is pushing the cars more, and that will end up that not only the cars will be more in demand, but also the batteries will be more in demand for the power plants. And then there will be also more demand for solar panels, because how do you create more electricity? First you back up, but then you need more, so you will also a demand for more solar. So by maybe this is the whole idea. By pushing more electric cars, you need to have more for stabilizing the grid. You need more batteries in the grid, and to create more energy, because the grid will be hungry for energy. That it will not be enough. You can sell more solar panels. And maybe the problem was in the past that he first started with solar panels, and that the market was not there because there was no need yet for it. But now, if he has the end product, the car, and because of this car is getting sucking up more energy, more electricity on the network, they need to stabilize the network more. And if after they have stabilized the network, they will see that they have still not enough energy of electricity, and they will need to scale up their solar panel or the windmills or something else. And the easiest way to scale up is at the moment solar panels. So there will be a bigger solar demand. So this can lead to like this. So what let me say, what happens if the whole car industry goes also wrong, and also Tesla has a problem with cars, selling cars. You can maybe think that. So then if this is the case, if there is a problem with selling cars, still there will be a demand for energy, for batteries, for the stabilizing the net, because a peaker plant is much more expensive than this battery pack. And I think that in the past, or even now, they don't want to sell those batteries in those peaker plants. I call it so to instead of a peaker plant, these battery packs, because these battery packs you earn more money with the battery packs if they are in the car used, because per kilowatt what you get back from a car is bigger than if you just use it in a closet and put it at the energy company and use it as a backup. There is less profit there than in a car. So that's why they first will always put as much as possible in the cars, and what's left over they sell as backup for peaker plants. But if this is not, if the cars will stabilize, or there will not be, people will not have the money to buy enough cars, and they will have an overproduction in batteries, they can use all those batteries in their energy projects. And even if there is not a big demand for those batteries, they can start building solar panels for their charging stations and put them there. So whatever happens, the batteries they always need more batteries, whatever. So the whole business, as you can see it, if it goes good with the car companies, they need more cars. If it goes less, the batteries they are making, they can always use. And that will be the main focus of Tesla in this year, starting from now, the battery business. The battery business, whatever happens, if they cannot sell cars or they sell a crazy amount of cars, there has to be always batteries. That's why they're investing in refineries, and that they have a continuously stream of materials and ores and resources to build more and more and more batteries, because that is now an unlimited amount of work that has to be done, and people will need the more batteries, the better. So, and even then, if there will be like an analyst will look at the car industry and say, okay, this is all going mountain downwards, everything goes bad, even Tesla doesn't do good, they cannot sell cars because the interest rate is too big, they cannot loan the cars anymore, all the rich people bought the cars, and now these poor people cannot even buy cars anymore, but yeah, they will use Ubers, so there is no need for those luxurious cars. And for example, that he's too late with the cheaper model, because if he can make the cheaper model, there will still be a demand. But it's just the worst case will be that he cannot almost sell he cannot reach his goals with the cars. Still, there will be a demand, big demand for energy. And then what happens? I think it's now growing. The energy piece in the company is growing by 20%. It can overtake in 4, maybe 5, or maybe in 2 years. It can the energy business from Tesla can overtake the car business. If this is the case, you just imagine that the battery business is creating more money as the cars. Then the analysts just switch the name from car company to energy company or battery company, and they still have a good. The stock will still go up, and still everything is okay. And if the people again want more cars, they activate the production lines for making more and cheaper cars, and there it goes. But I don't think that the transport world, they will always need cars, and they will find a way to. People will save more money to get cars, or second-hand cars, or leasing cars. So there will always be a demand of cars. And if a car breaks down or a truck breaks down, they will always buy a new truck or a new van, because they need them for their work, and it is also deductible for companies to deduct the cars. So there will be always a default and a main demand for cars and for trucks and for vans. So maybe what he can do, he can maybe focus more on trucks and more on vans and more on pickup trucks that are used for work, because they are deductible, and their loan for those cars are easier to finance. And the private cars for people, that will be the business can become more difficult because of interest rate all over the world, and not only America but also Europe will increase the interest rate, and maybe also Japan. So maybe the private person will have less interest in cars, and maybe also Uber and taxis will be more. But that will be a business, and that will be a business requirement for a car, and that will be taxable. So that's maybe a way still that the market for those cars are interesting. So more like build taxi, build a special version for a Model 3 or Model Y that is especially designed for taxis. That they did here for Nissan did it here for the Olympics. They made a special car for the Olympics, a taxi car, and maybe Tesla can make a special car for taxis here in Japan or somewhere in Europe, like the yellow cab in America or in the black cab in England. And here's also the cabs are also black. So make a special cab fully powered on electricity, and look if he can get his fingers between those contracts, that he can sell his Tesla cars as taxis all over the world, of this yellow cabs. If he can get there, and then he is short for an amount of business there. Also with the loan cars like Hertz, there will be also a business. So he maybe has to go more to the business side of the vehicles. For example, trucks, the big semi trucks, the smaller trucks, the vans for delivery. So if he focus more on that business will always be healthy, even in a recession. So because there will be a replacement market there, and if they have to be more environment friendly, they have to switch to electricity, and there are not so many semi trucks that are powered by electricity or vans. So that market is still open, and maybe that is a good thing to achieve for this year, that he makes a van and a more lighter semi truck, so he can fulfill that demand of that market. So he's short for always to have a business there. So that would be my advice, to play on two horses. Still try to make the cheap platform, make the cars cheaper, etc., etc. If something goes wild and people, Ford or other companies go bankrupt, and he got more business, it's only better and better, because he will earn more and his business will be bigger. But if he wants to be really assured of growing, whatever, even if it goes very, very bad and people have no money, businesses will have money, and so go to more the business segment of vehicles. So go to what I said, vans and semis. Then increase also your battery stuff. He's already busy with refining, etc., etc. But what he has to do next is go to solar. That's all. I said a meeting where we saw the investor meeting. I was so a little bit disappointed that he didn't tell anything about solar. He talked about batteries, but not about solar. He has to make what I already said: invest, and don't do it for what he maybe wants to do, a nice roof for a house. He can do that. Make somebody like the loop. The hyperloops. Let some people in your company look at the house with HVAC and heat pump, etc. Let them design something and make 4 or 5 groups, and like what he did with Starship, make it sort kind of competition, that people can make a house design powered with solar panel, with heat pumps, etc., etc. But what he has to really think about and really invest, what he needed on Mars. Mars is 7 times less sun as the Earth. So if you want to have the same amount of energy, you need to make solar panels there. Don't ship them in your Starship. You don't want a waste of money. So you want to produce from the material you find on Mars and on the Moon. You want to create there, from that material, you want to create solar panels. And if you really think about it, the efficiency of the solar panel will be super if you can make it high efficiency. But that will be difficult if you must make this production system on Mars or on the Moon. It is better to make them more. If you can only half of your efficiency is only half, you have to make 4 times or maybe 2 times more solar panels. But if you make it automated by robots and the factory is there and it can run on solar panels, it can run unlimited, it can make unlimited amount of those solar panels because it scoops up the sand of the soil from the moon or from the Mars, put it in the machine, and the other side with robots, the solar panel comes out, the bot picks it up, controlled from a distance or autonomously, and build the panel on the surface and fill it up as much as possible so that after a while it will get more and more and more energy. Maybe you build another factory there. If you, first we start only with one, you take the solar panels to run that only that the first factory. Then you make enough solar panels that you can run a second one. So you take maybe 4 factories with you. So you continue until you can put up the second one. Then if those are full in production, you can quickly put up the third and then the fourth, and then just build more, so that you can use it for the production of how you call it, for fuel for the rocket and for oxygen and for other things. So and you build it out until you have a very good high power, enough power system. Then you need batteries. So you have to also maybe look if you can use the material that is there to use as making batteries there. So he must make what the real goal is. He said he wants to be the master of factories, and that is what he really needs on those planets. He doesn't want to take batteries. But he said he wants to be independent from Mars. Has to be independent from Earth. That means that everything they need has to be produced and created on Mars. That means you have to have factories on Mars that can produce everything that they find locally there. And I mean, if you have that technology or you want to invest in technology, you can also start here. So make some factory that you can build up containers that you can ship to the equator. And just imagine you have 5 or 6 containers. You put them in the middle of the desert with 2 containers with robots. Those 5 containers you link to each other, and it becomes a solar panel factory. You take some extra solar panels there, so you can run those solar panel factory on solar panel, and those robots are also powered by solar, and they start to build it out. And after a while, they have built out enough solar panels to ship your second or your third factory. So then you ship a lot of factories there. So you ship maybe 50 containers there. That means 10 factories. You ship extra robots there. Maybe you make a factory for robots, so you don't have to ship the robots anymore, and they can make the robots there also locally. Only maybe the ore, but maybe they can get it also out of the sand, that they can make the robots from that material also. Because also you also have to think, what do you want? Do you want to ship 1,000 robots to Mars, or only a few that they can build a factory that can make from local ore the robots? So everything you have to, of course, at the end produce locally on Mars or on the moon. So this process, he has to already start now on Earth for SpaceX if he wants to recolonize Earth or the moon. So he has to make, he needs more material science. So maybe that's interesting for people that are looking for a future job. I think material science will be very important in the future, because you want to create equipment from material that is locally. So you have sand, a specific sand, and from that sand you want to make solar panels. This sand is different on Mars and different on the moon, and different in the Sahara, and different maybe in Texas or in Australia, that sand, but still you want to make solar panels there. So you need some technology, or you have to invent how to make solar panels from that sand you find there locally. Yeah. And I think that is maybe the engineer job from the future, that you have to create factories, small factories, mini factories, micro factories maybe, that fits in containers that can be shipped with Starship everywhere on the world. And you must be able to produce robots, microchips, steel, foundry, everything, also ovens to melt metal, to create fuel for the meltery. So you need a whole set of small factories that you can move off planet, to Moon or to Mars, or you build them, use them in space. But you can also use these sets of these small factories in the desert, or in an Australian desert, or in a Mexican desert, or in Africano desert, or somewhere in the middle of a small island, where the conditions are also good to build some infrastructure for generating hydrogen or electricity. You need these micro factories. Now he builds the giga or the tera factories, and he's already scaling down, but he has to scale down in the size of a container ship, and maybe smaller, so that it fits in a starship. Just imagine in the future, you have a starship, you load it full, you land it on the moon, or even in the desert. It packs out. You have 4 or 5 robots. You have some containers. You have some solar panels there. The robots build the solar panels up, connected to the solar panel plant, runs that first for a few weeks, to triple or double the size of the solar panels they got, or maybe 10 times. They put on the second solar panel factory online. Now they have enough solar panels to produce for the energy need. They put on, the next thing is they put on the foundry, so they can make fuel and they can make metal. Yeah. If they have the fuel, metal, and they make the chip factory online, they can start to build robots. The 4 robots now can make new colleagues of them, and now the workforce getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and something like that. So you can imagine you have to think about what are the minimum small factories you need to build everything. So maybe some of the factories you can take with you, but some of the factories maybe you can build. If you have the 3D printer, for example, you take a 3D printer and maybe you can print a factory. Maybe you can print a factory to create robots. So now we are thinking, well, maybe you have the whole factory, you ship it. But maybe you need a 3D printer. You ship it there and it can print a factory to make robots, a factory to make microchips, a factory that can make cars, a factory that can make spaceships or something. I don't know. But you can maybe think about, you need 3D printers, or you need factories that can make factories, or a factory that can make a factory, something like that. And then you can keep on making stuff. Because you just imagine that you need, for every factory, for every product, you need a factory. And if all those factories have to be shipped to Mars or to the moon, it will take ages to get everything there, the whole infrastructure for all the factories. So what you want to build those factories on Mars. So you need an essential factory, like fuel creating, energy creating. So with energy you can create fuel. Then you need meltery, so that all the ore you find you can melt and you can separate in specific stuff. I think you need a 3D printer, so that ore you have, or you can use a metal printer or other printers that you can print houses or other stuff. Then you need for microchips, you need something there. You need a machine to make microchips. You need something maybe to make motors, or you make electronics. You need maybe copper, or you need some replacement for copper. You have to find something that you can use for electricity conduction. Or you need also batteries. So you need something, not only solar panels you have to create, you need to create batteries, you need to create fuel, and you need to smelt metal, and you need to separate the ore you find into the basis elements you can use for 3D printing and to make other things. So these are maybe a set of things you need to ship first as small factories that are just to have to unpack to get online. And with those factories and those things you can make, you have to build other factories to build the next thing supply you need to build a colony. And if you make this all small and compact and self-sustaining, you can move it also to other to Africa. You can move it to the North Pole or somewhere else. You can experiment there, and you can also help the people there. You can imagine if you have a third world country that needs more solar panel energy or something else, a foundry to make something. You put those robots with the Starship full loaded with the colonization package there, and you build there a city, a colony there in the middle in the desert, in the Sahara, or in somewhere in Australia. You make a star base there, and if you know that there is some ore, maybe you build it there because of the ore. and you can ship that ore into space and build an infrastructure there with the ore you find on Earth. So he needs to start with building stuff to make factories, and they have to become smaller. So the engineers he probably need in the future are material engineers, and engineers that knows a lot about factories and chemical processes and metallurgy and polymers, plastics, or something that likes the ceramics and other things that you can make stuff with. And also, of course, electronics for 3D printers and maintenance of those stuff. So civil engineers. So maybe the future for engineers, if you want to study something, you have to look at those directions. Look at material engineer, and there, even if you have an AI that can help, it will only help you. It cannot make the materials, it cannot make the processes. You have to build it physically. Even if you have a 3D printer, still you have to make the factories, you have to experiment. There's a lot of work there that cannot be done by an AI only. That needs some interactive with humans. So that is maybe the future for engineers. I found this, for many people what the solution is for what to study. And of course, you add computer science for AI, because that is now needed, and that you can also use now. But in the end, these jobs will all be gone for programmers, for example, and for other engineering will be gone. But material engineers and engineers that can build factories or create or build up factories or build up infrastructures for factories, or the basic infrastructure for a colony, those will be needed in the future. And that is maybe what people have to focus on if they want to be an engineer or want to do something there. Also, food production, of course, is important. You can imagine that farmers in space will be also important. So you need to know not only metal engineering or chemistry, but also food will be very important. That is the end, and I'm already at my 30 minutes threshold. I want to keep it 30 minutes, and this one will be also pushed up in 2 days on the internet. See you. I hope people liked the conversation.